In 1898, H.G. Wells published the novel The War of the Worlds, a fundamental bedrock of early science fiction. Since then, the story has been adapted many times. 2 were set in America, reflecting the fears of the age. Some were set back to the time of Victorian England. There have always been adaptations of War of the Worlds, and there will always be adaptations of War of the Worlds. But none were ever, or will ever, be as f***ing terrible as this one, where it's just Ice Cube reacting to YouTube videos.
Get away from that! Get out of there! Bam! That was easy.
War of the Worlds Prime Day Edition is one of the most unfortunate films I have ever seen. It is truly so astonishingly bad that it is beautiful. A work of modern art. And I truly mean modern art, as in most people will hate this, and it was probably a tax write-off. But for those that have the eyes to see, this is a piece by the masters.
Start fire!
Found footage is a genre obliterated by the sands of time. I remember when some people thought Paranormal Activity was real. Then after a dozen sequels, nobody wondered anymore. But that set off a whole trend in the 2010s. So many quality movies, all culminating in the rom-com that was Apollo 18. Found footage spawned entire subgenres, whole new ways to have an hour of nothingness end in a jump scare. And there was a subgenre where the computer screen itself was the camera. Imagine a whole movie where the characters just FaceTime each other. Wouldn't that be scary? Wouldn't that speak to the young people who never touch grass? This bold new subgenre was called Screenlife, and it spawned many such classics like Megan is Missing, Unfriended, and Open Windows starring Elijah Wood. It's not a big subgenre, or even a particularly good one, but it's simple, it's cheap, and it literally only works for scary movies. War of the Worlds is none of these. This is not a small-scale movie. This is set during a fairly large-scale event. One of the biggest possible, really. A War of the Worlds. Remember how Tom Cruise had to stop his son from going off to die on the front lines? Or how he had to escape from getting juiced by the Martians? Well, what if instead of that, we just had Ice Cube doom-scrolling at his desk?
Victories and defeats are unpredictable, but casualties are certain.
War of the Worlds is one of the worst movies I have ever seen, but I am so happy that this shit show exists.
Here I come!
I don't know what this says about the direction of Hollywood, it's certainly going right off a cliff, but I don't care. This really is this decade's equivalent of Sharknado, except Sharknado is a better movie. Even those dozen sequels were better than this, and Gen Xers ran that joke right into the ground. It's funny how despite being 2 decades apart, these movies look remarkably similar, and it's probably because they had the same budget of an empty bag of Ruffles and a dead rat in a glue trap. Movies are a collaborative effort, which means that just like with any group project, some people really give a shit and others just don't. War of the Worlds had like one guy who really cared, really wanted to be profound, and everyone else just waited for the bell to ring. Did anyone try? Did they know what a joke this all was? Was this actually just a shitpost? I don't know. But as with any found footage movie, really, it's the mystery of the whole thing that makes it interesting. Ice Cube is a Fed who works for Homeland Security. So we're off to a good start. This is William Radford, an analyst who spends his entire day monitoring everything and everyone, all to make sure Washington, D.C. doesn't blow up. Yep, this is certainly stock footage. Everywhere has a low to medium threat level. Everywhere, except for the Department of Homeland Security. That's just really funny. No known breaches, no suspicious activity, no known events reported. It analyzes this cop and concludes that he also has no known breaches, no suspicious activity, and no known events reported. Okay, so question, what does that mean? Why does it have the same conclusion for this man as it does for the Capitol building? What are the implications here? Is there a chance this cop himself could be breached? Or has the US Capitol been suspicious in the past? I want to know. We're only a minute in, and my only knowledge of Ice Cube's character is that he stops the police from being violated on the streets of America.
Bam! That was easy.
This is a movie that doesn't just use stock footage. This is a movie that is only stock footage, as much as the small budget allowed. Everything from the high-tech security, to CNN, to even the random videos online. It all looks like something you'd get from Storyblocks. Or hell, even from YouTube. Literally. GameCube spies on everybody. His son, his daughter, her boyfriend.
I'm not your daddy, man. Right.
He knows where she walks. He knows what's in her fridge. He even refunds his son's flight simulator game. Holy shit, dude. He seems a little controlling. They probably should have told their mom to dump him in the first movie.
Oh man, she's a breeder.
Too late now. Homeland Security is tracking down the online hacker known as Disruptor. Get it? Because he disrupts stuff?
Be releasing classified documents proving the surveillance industrial complex killed Epstein.
They labeled Timu Anonymous as a domestic terrorist. So anyway, aliens attack. War of the Worlds doesn't really have any scenes. It has events. Things just sort of happen in an unfiltered flood before it ends after an hour and 30 minutes. Ice Cube getting a notification on his computer is the plot. If something happens, or if someone calls, then Ice Ice Baby will click on it, and then probably make this face. He reacts so hard to situations he has absolutely nothing to do with. Like when the aliens show up, the president declares a War of the Worlds.
I see no other option to initiate this War of the Worlds.
Which is a great line. Good job, Kenneth. And then the war just happens immediately, like in the span of an hour. During this whole war, Ice Cube is just watching clips online and freaking out in his seat. He is so invested.
Take your intergalactic asses back home! Back home!
It is actually insane. The world mobilized against the aliens in the span of like an hour. So while watching this thing, I started paying attention to the times, right? Because I knew this movie was not competent enough to keep the time straight. And I was right. So this entire movie takes place between 9 a.m. and roughly 3 p.m. Ice Age the Meltdown logs in at 9 a.m., the aliens attack at
9:52 a.m.
And then the war begins and the aliens start sucking our data at roughly 10 a.m. Then we actually skip a few hours, going from 11 to 2, and the movie ends at what appears to be evening at the late time of 10 a.m. That's right, going from purely the clock on the computer, this movie begins at 9 a.m., goes all around, and ends at 10 a.m. They didn't even try. The underpaid team forced to do these graphics probably just thought, fuck it, who's even gonna notice? Well, I did. I noticed. Much like the inconsistent times, War of the Worlds will also fill you with inconsistent feelings, if you feel anything by the end of this at all. What even is a movie? Are we meant to feel anything by watching these moving pictures on the screen at all? I don't know anymore. Take literally any scene, and just imagine what the filmmakers intended you to feel.
It's called Goliath.
That's fake news.
Are we meant to feel suspense? Are we meant to feel sad? Jubilant? Are we meant to take a break and pause the movie? How does one react to a fictional alien invasion on someone else's Twitter feed? How does one react when this guy reacts to every single news update like this?
Shit.
This is really the cinematic equivalent of watching the Manning cast. The film itself is its own second screen experience. We are watching someone else watch a movie. There are a few scenes in here that are just incredible. One is Ice Cube hacking a Tesla. I'm not even gonna get into that.
Listen to me. I got you.
But another is this one. So Ice Cube's daughter, Faith, walks out of cover to get into plain view of the tripod. Ice Age says the most obvious advice ever.
Get away from that! Okay?
This thing shoots down a chopper in a scene that looks straight out of a mobile game, not even the ad, the mobile game itself, and she starts running. You know in other found footage movies when the cameraman is running and you kinda still see what's in view? You know why they do that? So it doesn't look like this. If this was Cloverfield, that chopper would fly dramatically close and just barely miss. But that'd require, you know, a budget, so the crash is all off screen with sound effects. What really brings this all together, though, is the editing. It may be the funniest thing I have ever seen. Screenlife movies are meant to be about the immersion, where the minimalist approach speaks for itself. That is not what happens here. The edit f***ing zooms all over the place. Random close-ups at Ice Cube screaming, bouncing and cutting everywhere, zooming in, zooming out, panning with a blur. This is not the visual language of a movie. This is the visual language of an internet shitpost.
To get to the data.
This entire film is edited like a stream highlight. If this was a group project, then there would be like 2 kids who actually tried, a bunch of kids who really didn't do anything, and then one little goblin editor who actively sabotaged everything, cause fuck you. He's the hero of our story. If you think about it, this style is kind of fitting. Every War of the Worlds did reflect people's fears at the time. Maybe this is just a reflection of our fears of streamers. Run, Tom Cruise, the VTuber's gonna get ya! Honestly, that's a better message than the actual fear the movie tries to soapbox about. As you see, the aliens aren't simply here to take over the Earth. Oh no, they are actually here for our data. Like, computer data. They eat it. They eat your browser history. This is what we get for saving our passwords. Hi, I'm Chef Bobby the Boopsta Boobadelli. Welcome to the show. Today I was originally going to whip up a nice healthy chicken parmesan, but the network cut my budget because television is dead. So I only have time to make a meal in 4 minutes. Now that's impossible, you think. You want to take that bet? Oh, if I didn't change my ways back in '97, you'd be out of $50, because luckily, we have the sponsor of today's video, Factor. Finding the time to cook and prepare ingredients is hard to do, and that's why many don't even try. They just get fast food. Turns out there's an alternative, and that's Factor. Factor delivers fresh meals to your door that aren't even frozen, which, trust me, is a big difference. You can choose meals that are catered to your diet, be it keto, protein, or you just want to be health conscious. The point is, you don't have an excuse anymore. You can manage your caloric intake specifically with these low-calorie meals, and there's so many of them. Wow, they've doubled the size of their menu to 80 plus rotated meals. That means we got 3 times new weekly meals that were crafted by chefs like yours truly to restaurant grade perfection. They got twice the seafood options, like shrimp and barramundi. Say you're on that bulk and you need protein. Well, there's twice as many protein meals now, like beef fillet and turkey that will get you started. You know, I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight, just like 20 pounds, you know, I'm a little big, I'm Italian. Sometimes I get a bit too much fast food. When I'm home by myself, Factor is now a genuinely great option. And also, I'm kind of terrified to get fast food places anymore after learning that it might clog your arteries without even getting you visibly fat. So, you know, that's a new one for me. Hey, look at this mac and cheese with green beans. Only 500 calories. Holy cannoli. I'm Italian. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use code PointlessHubFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's PointlessHubFB50 at Factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Anyway, I guess since the network cut my funding, I'll have to go where the real money is, merchandising. So buy my Boobadelli pan collection. It works for both cooking and home defense. This pan has a laser sight. So, War of the Worlds just stops being War of the Worlds about halfway through. Much like a butterfly, it evolves into something more. Despite suffering from an actual alien invasion, the real enemy all along is America. More specifically, Agent Coulson, but it's funnier to say America. You see, although Ice Cube worked for the deep state, the plot twist here is that there was an even deeper state. The hacker disruptor wanted to stop the government from launching the Goliath program, a massive surveillance system that would allow the US feds to track everyone's personal data and information. Isn't that something they can do right now? Seems like the government can see everything already. They were literally listening to this person's phone call in their car on the highway. What's the difference? We never find out. All you gotta know is that the feds and ICE keep trying to catch Disruptor and charge him as a domestic terrorist. But they can't find him because he uses a VPN. Who is this Disruptor? Who are these hackers? Who are these people? To find out, Ice Cube decides to use a voice encryptor on Disruptor, something he never once thought about doing until this very moment. And he discovers the terrible truth. You see, Disruptor is actually Jake, his son.
My own son is hacking the government.
Jake tells his Fed dad about how the aliens aren't here to simply conquer Earth. They are here to literally eat our data using these little bugs. They eat electricity and digital information to grow stronger. The stakes have never been higher. The entire invasion has actually been a ruse, so the tripods can get to the servers of the federal government and suck this Earth planet dry. They've been scouting Earth for years, but now that we have Goliath, they're here for real. This is when the movie loses its fucking mind. There are no more rails, we are in free fall. Agent Coulson knows that the aliens are here for Goliath, and he doesn't care. He is just fully hamming it up.
We're safe. I kept the safe.
You risked all of our lives just to spy on people's Amazon carts.
What do you have to gain here, dude?
If we can't track our babies, how can we protect them?
So the aliens just start sucking all of the data from the computers. And without the data, the military literally can't fight anymore. Planes just start ragdolling like they were in Source. The entire stock market plummets. There's riots on the street. And what's worse? Facebook is deleted. Oh god, not Facebook. What will we ever do without Facebook? I love how mad he is about it too. He's like, fuck! So, this entire invasion is because of the US deep state. The war on terror, the Patriot Act, No Child Left Behind, all led to this. Alex Jones was right. It's so funny that it took an actual alien invasion for Ice Cube to suddenly change his ways. Like everything that came before for the last 2 decades, that was fine. But now, he's like, oh god, are we the baddies? You spied on your daughter's fridge. The only character arc in this entire movie is a guy in 2025 learning that working for the Department of Homeland Security might be bad. He was perfectly fine with the old surveillance system that figured out if the cops had been violated, but this Goliath thing? Oh, that's just one step too far. Not the Amazon carts! He gets fired for that one.
Congratulations, Dad. You're officially a disruptor.
What follows next is the most dramatic scene I have ever seen, involving a guy losing his internet connection.
Shit.
I get it though. This is how it feels to me in real life too. This movie speaks to more people than it will ever know. How will he buy anything now and put it in his Amazon carts? Okay, so are we there yet? And Jake have an idea. If the aliens are eating all the data, why not poison the food? This is War of the Worlds after all, so of course these aliens have to die to a virus. Should've saw that coming. The rest of the movie is all about delivering this computer virus into the servers of Homeland Security, where ICE-type works, killing the aliens who eat the data in the process. Problem is, the building he works in is on lockdown. He literally cannot leave. So how do you deliver something to a facility that is absolutely inaccessible? It's simple. You use Amazon. No, this isn't a joke. This is the climax of the movie. Ice Cube's daughter's boyfriend is an Amazon delivery driver, and the guy tells Cube to buy a thumb drive from Amazon so it can be delivered to him. Then using the power of VR, the boyfriend pilots the drone like he was in Top Gun to deliver the thumb drive to Homeland Security, diving and weaving among the tripods. I hate to go just beat by beat on this, but it's just so important for you to know all of it. The drone falls, it flips over, but on the camera they spot a homeless guy hiding in a tent. Using deep state tech, they track his face, get his phone number, and then text him to go outside in the danger and flip the drone over. He doesn't, of course, because there's a tripod right there. That would be insane. So they bribe him with $1,000 to the Amazon store. After that, he gladly flips the drone over, and it narrowly escapes after getting blasted by a tripod beam. The beam goes directly past the drone, like right where it was. Right where the homeless guy was standing. I think the protagonists of this movie got a homeless guy killed after bribing him with 1,000 Amazon fun bucks. Anyway, the virus is delivered. The Air Force gives up on nuking Washington, D.C. That was a whole thing I didn't give a shit to say. And Ice Cube gets a fake-out death, because why not? Fuck you.
Bitch, get out the way!
What I do appreciate is that this movie has really kept up this whole Screenlife gimmick the entire time. Like, it's done terribly. It was like it was running a race in last place, but at least it stuck with it. It stuck with its dog shit idea. Until one shot. You see, every single shot has had some in-world explanation. A camera on a wall, a drone, a computer camera. Every shot, except for when he inserts the thumb drive. That's just an omnipresent camera. That's not even a real recording of anything. Where did that come from? They could have had some text saying the thumb drive was inserted, or maybe a security camera looking down at Ice Cube, but they just didn't give a shit at the end. That's amazing! In 1898, H.G. Wells published his novel, The War of the Worlds. 100 years later, in 1998, that same novel could be bought over the internet on a growing new website called Amazon.com. Only 2 decades later, that very same website would turn this book into one of the worst movies ever made. Is this the worst movie ever made? I don't know. Saying a film is the worst ever is like saying something is the best ever, and things can be good or suck for entirely equal reasons. I think this is a bad movie that'll be remembered a lot like The Room.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Every clip is a meme. Every clip may become a piece of internet shorthand for the terminally online. Simply seeing Ice Cube in glasses now evokes the same emotions in me as seeing Tommy Wiseau greet a dog.
Hi, doggy.
The Room was, well, The Room because it was a vision by a single man. A strange and odd man, with a bad idea, and even worse execution, and War of the Worlds 2025 is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, but they blew up my house.
This movie, too, was dreamt by a man. One who had an idea and executed it terribly. That man is producer Timur Bekmambetov. Bekmambetov. We're just gonna call him Timur. Who the hell is Timur? Well, remember when I mentioned movies like Unfriended or Profile? He made those. This guy has been trying to make this genre a thing for years. Normally I cover movies that have been out for a while, usually decades. After that span of time, all those pesky NDAs have expired. Everyone has blabbed about how bad a project was to work on, Blade Trinity style. Yeah, we're not that lucky for War of the Worlds. It may be a while until we know what truly went on behind the scenes. All I have to go off of is a Wikipedia blurb, because I'm a fraud. But that Wikipedia blurb goes to a Hollywood Insider article from 2020. There we learn Universal Pictures had greenlit this project with Timur because they were interested in his Screenlife genre. This new technology will allow for a fully remote production, with all actors and crew working from their individual separate locations. Interesting. I wonder what situation was going on in 2020 that would facilitate a studio wanting to explore this technology. Yeah, so this movie only exists because of COVID. Probably not a shock to anyone, considering how this movie has the energy of a community script reading reunion, or that time all the celebrities sang Imagine. So, it's the height of 2020. Things are insane. And some Universal executives are worried about the future. Maybe they just learned what Zoom calls were, maybe they were going a little stir-crazy from the lockdown. Either way, in the midst of the craziness, I think some random executive at Universal worried that Hollywood might never make movies in person ever again. So they approached the literal only guy who was trying the idea where a bunch of actors are not physically in the same room. This must have felt like a golden opportunity for Timur. This was his first mainstream Hollywood job since Wanted. Yes, Timur directed Wanted. That Wanted.
Curve the bullet.
To kill your target.
This was September 2020, after which things just went silent, and no word was ever given on this project until this movie was shadow dropped on Amazon Prime in summer 2025. What happened? For now, we don't know, we can only guess. And my guess is that the very same executives that greenlit this movie, that thought Screenlife could be the future, actually saw it, and they realized their mistake. The way this movie came out just has the stink of shame. It was shelved for years, and probably only released because of some contractual obligation. Do you think Timur knew how bad this movie was? Was this actually his intended vision? Because despite it being Screenlife, this is entirely different than Unfriended or Profile. Those movies have minimum cuts and barely any noticeable editing. The computer is truly the conduit into this world. The intention of Screenlife and found footage in general is for the hand of the creative to be absolutely invisible. And War of the Worlds utterly betrays that. There has never been another movie where the editing actively undermines the entire film. It just makes the whole gimmick useless.
All systems have been penetrated and data drained.
It's fascinating that this movie meant to promote Amazon as a company that aired on their streaming site depicts their literal employee, a delivery driver, the people who keep this entire company afloat, as comic relief.
My phone's been freezing out. I'm on my way to her now.
And you get your skinny ass over there, now!
I have never seen a company actually represent its own average employee as a bumbling fool who is a baby daddy.
I'm not your daddy, man.
Right.
The only use he has, the only use his entire life has to this plot is that he happens to have a mere association with the latest and greatest Amazon has to offer. This would be like a Halo game ending because Cortana booted up Windows 10. So yeah, funny movie. Being a truly bad movie is an accomplishment. The real worst ones are memorialized in cinema forever. War of the Worlds 2025 may be remembered more than some Oscar Best Picture winners. Or it might not. I don't know how to end this video.
I'm Ice Cube, and this is my Ice Cubicle, and I'm here to ensure your cubes. So if you left the gas after dismounting your happy gas, or you just straight up died, I'm so sorry for your loss.